Welcome back. Over the past few months, hundreds of Latin migrants entered New York City seeking asylum. Entering the city on buses, migrants have been sent to several shelters throughout NYC, many of which reside in the Bronx. Making an effort to serve and uplift migrant children, Bronx organization Oyate Group is implementing programs to further support migrant youth. The chief operating officer of Oyate Group, Jason Autar, joined me to discuss this effort. Jason, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me and our organization today. Definitely appreciate it.
Now, can you talk about the situation New York City is seeing with migrants entering the city?
Yeah, the way that our organization views it is this is a humanitarian crisis, and our city is tasked with providing just essential resources for these individuals that, have been bussed here from the border, and so it's we have to marshal resources as quickly as possible, and it is an insurmountable task. And so I think right now the city is kind of getting its ducks in a row because when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, we have to provide not just housing, but just opportunities for these families that are coming over here. And we're not just talking about one or two individuals, we're talking at times entire swaths of families. So I think what we're seeing right now is just the city trying to implement as best as they can and piecemealing it. And, it's not something that I wish on any type of, government in order to do. But at this point in time, I think the city is trying its best to like I said, just implement as many resources as it can to help these individuals, get their lives in order, so to speak.
Now, I know that a lot of the families have been sent to the Bronx. Can you just explain why we're seeing that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just demographics in general. When you look at just the Bronx, we do have a large Latino population, and specifically, it's been a growing population of Mexican individuals in the southern part of the Bronx. So I think that's why folk are being placed here, because when we look at communities, people want to be close to ties, right? So whether it be familial ties, through friends, language, customs, things of that sort. And so I think the Bronx provides that opportunity for these individuals to access. And so that's why we are seeing an influx of individuals um, coming here.
Now, according to Mayor Adams, this has been overwhelming New York City shelters. With that understanding, can you talk about how this is affecting the Bronx in particular? Just because the Bronx is known just to be a borough that is already struggling with resources. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, at this point in time, just kind of figuring out where individuals are going to be placed, like I said, it's tough. And so I think the mayor is just trying to figure out through his team and through other city council members is how can we piecemeal and how can we effectively place individuals. There is not a right answer and there's not a wrong answer. I think it just has to fit, toward the population that we're seeing. So it's not something that I have great insight into, but I know, just taking a step back out and as a nonprofit, it does seem like a really, really large task for the city to appropriately place individuals at this point in time.
Now, I know your organization is focusing on migrant youth, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But before we delve into that, I just want to know, can you talk about how the migrant crisis is also straining public schools? Because prior to this, I had no idea that was being affected.
Yeah, one of our partner schools actually that we are known for our vaccine program that we did. We vaccinated about 40,000 individuals during the height of the pandemic. And so one of the schools that we partnered with in the South Bronx, they are being affected by the migrant crisis because of the fact that they have now predominantly Spanish speaking or Spanish speaking only young people that are being placed in the schools, and so now they have to marshal their resources in order to positively service these individuals. So with that, it brings a whole host of challenges because the schools themselves, they're charged with not just being able to service the individual but also the entire family. And so while it may seem like it is a difficult task, I think it's a positive one because schools are trusted entities, and with these trusted entities, I think that families can begin to just gain resources, but then also have access to a larger array of resources. And so, it's going to be, we're not going to see gains and dividends in the short term. I think this is for the long term haul. And so that's why it's important, for us as a city to provide these resources for these individuals.
Now, why did your organization want to take a moment to uplift and focus on undocumented youth in particular?
Yeah, I think for us, what we've recognized is that there are stopgaps in the services that the city provides, and the city does provide a whole host of resources. But we also understand that these resources are not catered toward undocumented folk. And so when we look at the fact that there are undocumented youth that are in New York City public schools or in our school system in general, whether they be charter or parochial or anything of that sort, we understand that that is a stopgap, and they're not provided the same access to resources in the form of, let's say, the Summer Youth Employment Program, or SYEP. So for us, we saw it as an opportunity to take this time to provide just an opportunity for these young people where they're able to be placed and gain some job skills because obviously they're not going anywhere and they are part of the fabric of our community. And so it's important for us to provide access to resources, but it's also important for them to develop their skills. And so that's what we felt was important as we are at this critical juncture, not just at this time in our city, but also in our country as well.
Now, I think that a lot of times when we have these conversations, people tend to focus on the adults, and sometimes children can be left in the dark or left behind. Can you just talk about some of the challenges migrant children face?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just communication and just language barriers. And so they may have grown up as speaking predominantly one language, and now coming over here where English is just the kind of the de facto operating language. That's really really difficult. What we've heard from some of the schools is the fact that some of these young people that are coming here, they're not up to grade level, so that poses a whole different issue as well. So it's a multi-faceted, multi-pronged issues that we're facing, and it's not singular. And so we have to look at it from all different lenses, especially when we're talking to young people, because as we know, the ages from 5 to 10 in terms of education are really really important. And if we don't service these young people, they will be lost in the system because they are already at a disadvantage. And so we have to remedy it as quickly as possible, but also do it in the most fashionable and appropriate way for them.
Now, you talked a little bit about what your organization does, just in general, to uplift these children. But I understand that you did have a summer internship program at Fordham University. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so our partnership with Fordham University was spawned off by we actually partnered with a with George Washington High School, where we gave a grant for their um, they had an arts program, and the director of the arts program, she did indicate that there were quite a few undocumented youth. And so we always have conversations with multiple partners, and Fordham University reached out to us and they said, what are ways that we can partner? And so we pitched the idea of having an undocumented summer youth employment program with them, and it was something that they were definitely interested in. And Fordham was a great partner. They actually placed the students in job settings, and we, as Oyate Group, we actually paid the young people through gift cards, and so they were receiving 500, excuse me, $500 per week through these gift cards, and they would work from Monday through Friday, and then, excuse me, Monday through Thursday, from 10 to 5. And then on Fridays, they would come to our offices at 138th Street in the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, and then we would actually do enrichment activities with them, whether it be developing their resumes, whether it be financial literacy, things of that sort. And then we would also do enrichment activities with them outside of our space, just so that they also have that camaraderie that they're building, but then also providing them with trips and things of that sort, things that they may not have the opportunity to do with their families. So for us, we saw it as a holistic wraparound approach where we're not just giving them jobs, but we're also giving them experience where they're bonding with adults, where they're bonding with other individuals outside of their communities, but they may not have an ability to do so.
Now, I understand due to the nature of your organization, this isn't the first time that you got together to uplift, the community. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your organization and the work that you do in general?
Yeah, so we're an anti-poverty organization, and so for us, we see ways to complement whatever government or nonprofit or social services are doing. So a couple of things that that we've done in the past, obviously our vaccine program. But when the fire in the Bronx happened at Twin Peaks, we actually helped to do some fundraising where we were able to bring in $100,000 with small businesses, which they were able to match so that we can provide direct cash relief assistance to the families that were affected by the fire. We've done work with small businesses where we provided very small or just grants just in general in order to to help them out. We're doing youth programming. We do turkey drives, we do Christmas giveaways, we do a whole host of services in order to fit the needs of the community. Where, again, like I said, just complementing or just providing additional resources for our borough itself.
Now, I think this is really amazing. And, this is the kind of work that we love to see within the borough. Can you just talk about, how can people who want to help, how can they get in touch? And then how can people who need the help contact your organization?
Yeah, you can look us up at on our social media websites. It's called Oyate Group on all major websites, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can visit us on our website itself at the Oyate Group, www.com, oyategroup.org. You can find all updates. We update it pretty regularly, as well as with our social media pages.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me.
Now, thank you, Kim, and definitely appreciated this.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday.